that roar when you ran out just puts goosebumps on the back of your neck.
Moss went straight through. Andrews there.
He's just forever looking for an opportunity.
Exhilarating football.
That's a good sign of a good team.
Accelerates and punches through them.
And he's only going to get better.
And the hammer stands them up. And Queensland going to do it again.
Well, thanks for joining us this week for a bumper edition of Queensland, a State of Origin edition, where we'll go through plenty of things. We'll dissect the Maroons State of Origin side, have a quick look at what the Blues have done, tap into Billy Slater's coaching legacy, and of course preview the NRL action this weekend. There are NRL games going ahead. The Broncos and the Titans have the bye, but the Dolphins and the Cowboys will play. But Locky, first of all, your thoughts on the Queensland team?
Oh, look,
Selectors got it right.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many surprises in there, maybe one or two. But, you know, as I've said before, Billy has done his homework. He watches all the games every weekend and, you know, obviously bringing in last year's performance, a winning team. So, yeah, look, you know, Billy keeps referring to players with habits and earning the opportunity, and I think that's, you know, reflective in the side he's chosen.
Do you agree well?
Yeah, I certainly do, and I agree with Locky on Billy's judgment. He's studied this like a university student, honestly. All of the players, he looks for the good points, the bad points, their ability to display individual brilliance and also be able to work in well as a team man. And I think the talent of the guys, without doing it in Locky's pocket here, and also Gino, they've certainly had enough Origin experience to know of the standard of player that can stand out and get obvious selection, and then the other guys that not everybody recognises the wonderful skills that they have, but for the talented guys, they really do stand out and become quite obvious, and they're the type of players that you love to have in every side, the brilliant individuals and the wonderful team players that can combine so comfortably.
There's probably no one, I look at it and go, oh, they probably should be in the team that have missed out. I know there's a heap of marquee guys that are injured, like the Munsters, Fleglers, Tino, that sort of thing. But no one who's missed out, I've really gone, oh, they should really deserve to be in the team. The only big talking point is probably for Feeder, and Billy Slater's explained that. He feels as though his standard is not quite where it was last year, so that's excusable. But another bit of a shock, Locky, Selwyn Cobbo on the bench. Is that just the changing nature of rugby league, the how much of an effect HIA is having? You've got to be prepared for that now?
Yeah, HIAs or injuries. Yeah. I think, you know, I think one of the where teams have been caught out, and I think it was a Damien Cook last year, you know, had to defend at the centre. So if you don't have a player on the bench or in your starting team that can move to the centres from the forwards or your bench and cover that position really well, then you can be exposed. And so I think, you know, there's the option of, you know, Nanai or Su'A playing in the centres, but I think that's a fair increase in responsibility for those type of players. So I think having Selwyn there to cover that, but equally, I think there's the excitement about bringing someone like Selwyn into the game after there's been a bit of fatigue set in. So, he's played some great football this year. He's made it look easy from times, and I think there's two parts to it, but, I think there's a lot of people excited about him just having him in the team.
Yeah, I'm sure Billy will time it absolutely perfectly too, Locky, and that'll be a particular decision that, he'll probably have to leave to wait to the occasion to know that is this the time? Have a look at the defence. It's starting to show real signs of being extremely tired. Cobbo being injected into the game at that stage could be a wonderful factor for Queensland. And he'll take onto the field with him a little bit of a determination to prove that to some that I should have been there from the start. But it's an opportunity, I think, for him to play a perfect team game. We've seen great performances from him previously, and I think we've got plenty more coming up in the future as well.
If you don't use him as injury cover, how do you fit him onto the field though, Locky?
It's been like, in the past, you've had, I remember Sean Berrigan sort of started it when Mel was there, then Cooper Cronk took that role. even Daly played in the back row. I think you can find ways to inject them into the game in attack, but then also find a position for them defensively that still suits the team. That's the key. So you know what he can bring in attack, but it's where you put him defensively. I'm sure Billy's got a plan there of where he wants to place him.
Yeah, I'm sure that wing, fullback, centre, that's an opportunity that's open for him. But in the shape of disaster, you don't always get the opportunity to plan it and have it provided for you. We may even see him coming on, in the latter stages of the match where he's got the size and power to be able to mix it with the big boys up front, if at all needed in needing to cart the ball forward to gain some territory for Queensland. I know that's a 1,000,000-to-1 shot, but you can never plan and have things come into place 100% in Origin football. It's not like that. There are strange things sometimes are provided, and to be able to have the players of the quality to be able to fit into that group, I think we feel quite comfortable with the players.
Yeah, you don't realise how big Selwyn Cobbo is until you stand up next to him, like the height and the chest and everything. Like, he's so hard to tackle.
Yeah. Well, he's another Greg Inglis, isn't he?
Yeah.
He just makes it look easy, and he's been playing some good disciplined footy since he's gone to the centres this year. So yeah, I think there'll be an opportunity for him at some point to inject himself in the game and have an impact.
Yeah, and a new number 6 too, the jersey you guys used to wear for Queensland, no Cam Munster. How close was that decision, Locky? Dearden edges out Ezra Mann?
Yeah, look, I think maybe it's very difficult. Both players playing really well. I think if Wald talked about it before, there's Origin standard, Origin players, and it's that character and that effort in your game, and I think no one epitomises that more than Tom Dearden. The X factor of Ezra Mann, but I think he's in the system. He's working his way into the up the system, and he's now in the top 20. So I think Ezra's time will come, but he'll learn a hell of a lot just being in and around this group for the week.
Yeah, and I thought Ezra had a match on the weekend where he probably struggled to get into it at different stages, and it wasn't. He was searching for opportunities, but they just didn't get there. And there were a couple of occasions where he got knocked around, battered a little bit. Tommy Dearden, he's the first one to admit that it hasn't been his best year, but I think the line he used was, but he intends from now forward for the rest of the season to be able to say that yes, it has been after a little bit of a slow start. So we've seen that he can do it. Previous performances have thrilled people, myself included. I think he does some wonderful. Or he provides some wonderful opportunities for those around him. He's a gutsy young bloke. He never sort of holds back too much at all, and he's one of those guys that when you go into a battle of Origin standard, you love to have them beside you. You know that you can count on them 24/7.
And the sole debutant in the team, Jermaine Hopgood from the Parramatta Eels, Locky, what can he add to this Queensland side in the forwards?
Effort. We talk about Tom Dearden epitomising an Origin player. Well, Hopgood is in the same boat. Just gets through a mountain of work. Will always do his job, turn up for you when you need it most. And so I think he's earned his opportunity, and I think he's the type of player that will enjoy this environment.
And always good to have a debutant in the team. Well, what's it like seeing a guy buzzing make their Origin debut?
Oh, it's wonderful. You know that they've got the will to win about to be displayed, determination, the insistence that they produce their best performance, and it can be a little bit of a difficult time where you have that fear of failure, of not being able to stand up to the standard of the players around you. But I'm sure we're about to see it. And to have the players of the standard that Queensland have on display in this game will make him feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof, I'm sure.
And Billy Slater, remarkably going for 3 straight series wins since taking over as Maroons coach. Locky, you played a fair bit with Billy. Did you expect him to have this bigger impact?
Look, I guess the one thing about Bill is, and you talk to, well, not you see it actually with a few of those players, the term players that have come out of that system in Melbourne, that's what Craig Bellamy's known for, that attention to detail. And I got no doubt, the Cooper Cronks, the Cameron Smiths, Billy Slater would have learned a hell of a lot from Craig. But equally, Billy, coming from Innisfail, understood what the Queensland Origin team means to the people of Queensland. So connecting the jersey and what it means for the players, to the people, was obviously important. And then the other part to it is having the game plan or the tactics around how to win. And, he constantly talks about habits. And, it's those habits, they come to the surface when the fatigue and when you're tired out there. So, that's something that he knows from the playing days. It's really important in this environment. But I think giving the purpose of the jersey is equally important, and he's got both of those really well done.
What do you like about him as a coach, Wal?
There's no BS about him. He calls it as he sees it. He never dodges questions. He gives a simple answer and manages to do so without being anywhere near guilty of handing over the team plans. I've always enjoyed watching Billy be involved. I had the opportunity to go down when I was in Melbourne for a couple of months and spent a bit of time with Bill and out on his farm and just listened to him. And he spoke about footy the whole day long. Yeah. It was his intentions, and it was the love of the game, and it was the things that he thought he had to inject when he was playing, and the things that he expected others to be able to provide from him. And it was quite interesting to be able to sit back and listen to it. And he's also had the thrill of playing under a coach that's taught him a hell of a lot about success, fear of failure, and also living up to the standard that the players must do each time they go out there. I'm sure that Bill will as well. Just remind the players before they go out there that they're playing for the people of Queensland, the ones that will never ever turn on them. So let's go out and reward them if we possibly can.
And he surrounded himself too, Lockie, with some diverse rugby league minds in that coaching setup. So you've got Jonathan Thurston there, Matt Ballin and Josh Hannay. How important is that to have those different point of views?
Yeah, well, all of them played for Queensland, so they all know what it means to play in the jersey, which is always important, the messaging around that to players. One played at hooker, one played 7, one played in the centres. So there's a bit of diversity there around what their specialty is, and I just think it's a bit like a spine on the field. Having a coaching staff that complements each other is really important. So you're covering every aspect of the game, and I think there's a great diversity in there that the players will they'll get the benefits out of.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have those names around, having Cam around him and giving advice on that. I think Billy said something along the lines of, mate, I've always played in the backs, thought that I could probably work with the forwards, but there's a certain section of the game that the guys, a guy that is coming in from fullback probably doesn't know a lot about the front rowers market, but he's really gone ahead and made sure that he's educated himself on all walks of life about rugby league, and he just seems a very smart operator that's been, and I know I'm filling Lockie's pocket here, but had a wonderful opportunity to work getting some advice from selectors that have been there, done that, and played at a wonderful standard of the game. And the one great thing I think that is enormously obvious in this is the comfort that exists in the Queensland camp. It's there, it's ready to go again. The only thing that they've got to provide now is the game itself, and I'm sure Bill's going to make sure that when they go out in the field, that old saying, they'll feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Well, as for the opposition, the team we're going to beat in Game 1, the Blues, Lockie, what do you make of the makeup of that New South Wales side?
Well, he's true to his word, Madge, that he was going to pick on character. And this is no disrespect to some of the guys that missed out, because some of those guys that missed out have got a heap of character. Yeah. Obviously, the big one with Tedesco, that's a huge call. But you look through the team, and yes, there's some big names that have missed out, but like I said, he's picked a team based on what he thinks an Origin player looks like. Now, again, no disrespect to those that missed out, because there's plenty of players that missed out that play at that level and have been good at that level. So, but he's just gone for, a team that he thinks is just going to fight tooth and nail for everything, and that's going to make them hard to beat.
Yeah, I must say I was surprised as well with the omission of Tedesco. I really saw him as a player that injected himself in times of need in the games that he plays, and I think I can remember thinking, oh, maybe he's not that good. Maybe he's a very good player, but is he one that can turn the game itself at state of origin level? And thought that was quite impressive what he's managed to do. Admittedly, it was the build-up in the club games where, once again, he started to display his brilliance, and to see him miss out, it was different. But Madge, as the coach, and Locky just sort of mentioned it before, and he's different. Yeah. He's a little bit different, and he does things where he's probably learnt from the best coaches in the game, and probably learnt from some of the calls that he's made previously that just didn't work. So he's quite prepared to be able to make adjustments to make life uncomfortable for the opposition.
As a Queenslander, I'm relieved they didn't pick Latrell Mitchell. He's been devastating when he has played for the Blues. When we've struggled to win, he has played. Are you, in a way, relieved, Locky, that he's not playing?
No, it doesn't worry me either way. Like, I think, I feel like those sort of big players, like, sometimes Origin, that's not what it's about. I think if you've got really good attacking players in clubland, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to equate in the Origin arena. So whether they had Turbo there, Latrell there, for mine, I just know this is going to be a real arm wrestle. It's going to be a dogfight. They're going to get in the trenches and they're just going to go at it, and it'll be a great contest. Latrell there or not, it doesn't change my thought or my nervousness in the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, Locky. And at club football, we're used to seeing him go all over the shop, being everywhere, and has a smile on his face. Not stick to his position 101% perfectly. Whereas as Origin, you've got to be in that place. And if you're not there and you're out of it, and it's taking you a little while longer to get into that spot, well, get ready for the cash register to ring points for the opposition. He is a very talented player, but obviously the selectors had other ideas.
And the bench, I think that's where they've made a bit of the Blues, pardon the pun there, but they don't have a backup hooker on the bench, and they don't have a backup for outside back in terms of that utility. Will Queensland be licking their lips if there's like a back row having to go out into the centres, or the Damien Cook situation that eventuated last year?
Well, I think Angus Crichton's probably the key for him there. He's pretty mobile. He could probably play in the centres pretty easily, and he's done it in the past. I think that's where his head is in terms of covering an outside back, as Angus Crichton. I think Liam Martin had a stretch, but I don't think he moves as well as Crichton out there. But the backup hooker thing, yeah, look, I guess he'd have a plan there with Hudson Young.
Maybe McGuinness
could go there. So I think, look, I don't want to sort of indicate that they overlooked anything, because I don't think he has. He would have thought about all of the scenarios.
Well, certainly they would have discussed it, Locky, in the selection meeting. I agree with you there. They're not that silly. They just forget about having backup. What will we do? And usually when you pick your side, you go over and you'll go through it about what. If only we lose this bloke, if only this happens, what are we going to do? So there would have been the thought process put into operation there about how to cover it, and I'm sure the coach has got something in mind to cover, even the toughest injury crisis that may come along.
It's interesting with those two composition of the benches, they're completely different. Like the Queensland have got the backup hooker and the outside back, whereas the Blues have gone the full forward. So somebody's going to look like a genius after game one and somebody not so much. But as I mentioned on the top of the show, the NRL continues this weekend. The Cowboys and the Dolphins are both in action. both lose Origin players a fair bit. Who do you reckon is worst affected, the Dolphins or the Cowboys, Locky?
Cowboys have been decimated.
Yeah.
I was trying to start to think, and then the list just kept going. You know, you got Robson now for New South Wales, and then you got Dearden, then you go Nanai and Holmes and Tuolangi. Qlder. The list keeps going for the Cowboys, and they're playing in Sydney against the Roosters.
You reckon James Tedesco's not going to be fired up for this game?
Yeah. Well, so Cowboys have got a mountain to climb. I know the Roosters have got plenty of representation themselves, but just what you just mentioned, I think Tedesco will he'll be hard to handle. While for the Dolphins, Hammer and Kafusi as 18th man. So even though he might not play on Wednesday, he has to stay with the squad because he's the 18th man. And so, look, I think like for like, the Dolphins are without doubt less affected than the Cows.
Yeah, I agree with you, Locky. It's almost as if the Cows are going into that battle and they don't know how many bullets they've got in the gun to take part in it. But I think we'll see a wonderful performance. The coach will have them ready to go, but I think they're in a bit of a gunfight here that most people will be putting money on the opposition.
You never know with the Cowboys, though. It could be one of those 40-30 games.
You never give up. You're always optimistic,
Felty's still in the team, couple of tries. Scott Drinkwater there doing whoever knows what.
Yeah, and there could be some positional changes taking place as well. The Cowboys have done that on a couple of occasions, and they appeared as though to be unusual ones, but have turned out to be absolute, smart plays.
Well, the opportunity for the Queensland clubs in this period has always been to build depth in your squad, because it gives some others an opportunity to play some first grade and sort of build their experience, grow their game, and then at the back end, if you're getting through Origin and you got to push towards the finals, having depth is pretty important to your chances.
Yeah, and you'll catch that game live and free on Channel 9 Sunday afternoon footy. The Roosters hosting the Cowboys. But the big one comes next Wednesday night in Sydney. Game 1, the Maroons up against the Blues. Catch all the action on Nine's Wide World of Sports.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast. Get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddie in the 8.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.